without further ado, I want to introduce Coach Tucker. He's got a few words for you all. This is his first of what will be many legacy celebrations that he'll be a part of with us. Of course, we wish that it would have been in person, but he was gracious enough to give us the time, and he was gracious enough to give me the opportunity to come back home to East Lansing to work with the football team. So I enjoy working with him on a day-to-day basis. And with that, I will turn it over to Coach Tucker.
Thanks, Darian. I see Dino Bensose right there with the green polo on. What's up, Dino? How you doing, bud? That's my man. Karen, how are you? Awesome. Yeah. So, thanks for having me on. We got rained out of golf today, and so I got a great opportunity to spend Sunday home with the family. Michigan State is a very, very special place to me. And everyone doesn't know this, but I started my career here at Michigan State in 1997. I'm from Cleveland. I played at Wisconsin, but when I decided I wanted to get into coaching, I called Coach Saban, and he allowed me to come here as a graduate assistant coach. And as Coach D'Antonio could tell you back then, I knew nothing. I knew zero about anything about coaching, anything about recruiting, anything about anything. And in Michigan State, I really didn't have anything to offer Michigan State. Michigan State really gave me an opportunity to begin my coaching career. And so this is literally home for me. And I've always kept track of Michigan State. I always followed Coach D'Antonio. Coach D'Antonio and I worked, I think, for 3 or 4 years beyond here at Ohio State, won a national championship. And so I've always pulled for the Spartans. And it's a true blessing for me to be able to come back here to such a special place. I talked to Karen yesterday. We had a really good conversation, and we were talking about Mike, and the word legacy came up, which was amazing to me because recently we've been talking a lot to our football team about legacy, because in the wake of the George Floyd incident, and then with COVID-19, I think everyone is really trying to come to grips with what's really our purpose. What are we here to do? We've had a lot of time to think about it in some real ways. And Karen, she made a good point. She said legacy is not just something that that refers to if you passed on. It's I see legacy as really a daily construction. It's a daily build. And someone told me a couple of days ago, they told me, they said, your job at Michigan State is to win football games and graduate players. That's it. And although that is a big part of my job, is to win games and graduate players, that is really just a tip of the iceberg in terms of what my responsibility is as a coach, and what our responsibilities are as coaches and staff. If people can only remember me for how many games I won, that would be not what I would want my legacy to be. Absolutely, there's just so much more to it. To me, legacy is, what positive influence have you had, or negative influence? What influence have you had on other people? People in your immediate sphere of influence. Your immediate family. Or what about people that you work with, that you work for? People that you coach, people that you teach, people that you come in contact with on calls like this. How did you make them feel? What were they able to take away from that? Was it a positive experience? Was it a negative experience? And did you inspire anyone to do better, or to become a better person? Or does anyone look at me and say, you know what, I want to know more about him and what makes him tick, because he's a really good person. He was very friendly. He was nice. He was open. He was honest. And then maybe when they take a look at me, they want to know more about me. they know more about what was important to me and maybe can be motivated by that. Just like Mike, I think there's opportunities for us moving forward to partner uh, with the foundation to amplify what Mike was really all about beyond the field. You know, four-time academic All-American, which is unheard of. You know, those are types of things that need to be celebrated, but need to be amplified. And we have a platform. I have a platform to be able to do that. Michigan State, you know, is a huge platform, and I'm looking forward to the opportunities that we'll have in the future to do that because you know what Mike was all about and what the legacy he left, you know, on the field and most importantly off the field. Those are the types of players that we're looking for here. Those are the type of student athletes that we want here at Michigan State, and that's what we want to aspire to be. Is you know make a you know do great academically. Know that we're you know football is what we do. It's not who we are, and that we're more than just student athletes, more than just coaches. We you know we have broader goals and can have a broader impact. And our players have really this past several weeks we've really challenged our players to think about what is your legacy beyond the playing field. Um, you know, it's not just shut up and play. It's not just shut up and coach. We're we have so much more to offer than that, and we have to be bold in using our platforms to make a positive impact. Not and this is a daily and beyond. And so I just wanted to pass on those words. I'm honored and privileged to be a part of this call, and people could I think can ask Karen, well, what's Mel got to do with the foundation and this? He just got here in February. Well, you know, I'm the head coach of Michigan State, and Michigan State has a legacy of strong family ties. You know, beyond just one coach or one player. It's a special place, and we all have each other's backs. And so, I believe in that 100%. Just a quick update on the team. Everyone asked me, uh, everyone asked me, are we going to play football this year? And and I've been told that we're going to play, so we're planning to play. We're preparing to play, and we're going. I see Benny's got a smile on his face there. We're going to plan to play until someone tells me differently, you know. And so whenever it's time to kick off, we'll have the green and white ready to go. But it is quite a challenge. I think we report to camp on August 6th, and so we've got some time to continue to get our guys in shape and install our offense and defense special teams schemes but you know right now, quite frankly, it's more about keeping our guys safe and healthy. I mean, that's like our number one priority. We have a lot of protocols, social distancing, mask wearing, just you know sanitation of the facility, you know, everything that is about the safety and well-being of our student athletes and our staff, our coach staff and our support staff. And but you know, right now I feel really good about where we are. Coach D'Antonio has done a great job with this program. These guys know how to work. They are unselfish. They know about team, and it means something for them to be at Michigan State. They're not just here for what Michigan State can do for them. They want to be Spartans. Like it's important to them. They have pride in the university, and that's recruiting. You know, you recruit that. You recruit high character guys that are unselfish, that are team oriented. Um, they care about the university. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and those are the players that we have here, and that is totally attributed to Coach D'Antonio and his staff. And so, Coach D, I want to thank you for everything that you've done. Um, Karen, thank you for the invite. Darren, thank you for helping me be a part of this. And I just want to say, go green.
Speaker, Benny Fowler, who has so many accolades to his name. It's unbelievable. Um, got his book right here, Silver Spoon, Imperfect Guide to Success, which is an unbelievable book. Enjoyed reading it, want to read it again as soon as possible. But, you know, Benny's a class act. He's honestly a mentor of mine, being an older brother, Super Bowl champion, author, developer of the GPS method, which I took myself. I went through. It's a guide to success, which was fantastic and can help a lot of people, not just athletes, but people in business, students of all ages. Did an unbelievable job with that. And he's a public speaker as well, and motivational speaker also. I mean, I could go on and on about Benny, but glad to hear from him. And the floor is yours, Beans.
Appreciate that, Darian. It's good to see Spartan Nation. Karen and Katie, thank you for allowing me to speak today. Coach D, it's good to see you. Connor, it's great to see you. Josiah, all the Spartan Dogs, Tawan. Coach Tucker, great words right there, man. Can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to, get a chance to talk to you and sit down with you. Today we're here to celebrate Mike and his legacy and, just how great of a person he was and how great of a player he was. Mike, like Coach Tucker was saying, was more than just an athlete. My man was getting ready to go to Stanford Law School and to help people and give back and serve. And that's what we all are here for as people, is to serve other people and give back. And that's one of the great things that Mike was all about. I tell people Mike is in one of my keynote speeches that turns possibilities into reality. And I talk about Mike, like if you ever got a chance to hang around Mike, it was like being in a real life episode of Family Guy. If you've ever seen Family Guy, it was like being in a real episode of Family Guy because Mike would always bring that humor. He could always turn a bad situation, and just put some humor behind it. That's how funny he was. He's very witty, very sarcastic, but in a great and loving way. And he had a great way of telling the truth. And, that's what I miss about him. I got to see him a couple weeks before he did pass at Max Buller's wedding. And it was, 20 to 30 Spartan football players there, and just our relationship and how strong our relationship was. And, Mike was actually getting ready to come out to see me when I was playing for the Denver Broncos. He was on the way out there because he was driving out to California, and he was going to stop and stay at my house for training camp. And before all that happened, but, Mike was just one of the great people. He really represented what a Spartan was. And yes, he was more than just a football player, like Coach Tucker said, 4-time academic All-American. I mean, that's the definition of more than an athlete. Like if we really look at it, and that's what we want to continue to have at Michigan State, is athletes who are great on the field as well as off the field. And Mike has inspired me in so many different ways on how to leave a legacy. That's the reason why I wrote a book, because it doesn't matter about the book sales. That's for my kids to see. I don't want people just to see me as a Super Bowl champion or catching Peyton Manning's last pass. I'd rather them see me as the author and the keynote speaker that will serve millions of people. Football is fun, and it helped me create relationships. Coach D was super big on creating relationships, and it wasn't just about me hanging out with the receivers and the quarterbacks. It was about hanging out with the walk-ons, the specialists, the defensive players, because if you want to be successful in this life, you're going to need the help of other people. And Coach D really harped on that. And that's something I still take to this day off the field. And that is what has inspired me to write a book and share the stories of the Darqueze Dennards, the Draymond Greens, the Chris Fowlers, the Darian Harrises. There's so many different types of athletes and different types of people. And that's why I call it the imperfect guide to success, because there is no perfect way to get to be a D1 athlete or to get to the NFL. We all have different paths. And that's why I just created and just finished my online course that Darian just took. I had some people take it, which is called the GPS method, which is goal setting plus perseverance equals success. And it gives people the roadmap and the championship tools to develop for your life to help you stay on track or get back on track or just accelerate your life. And that's why I wear these bands every single day. The prize is in the journey. And what does that mean to you? What does the prize in the journey mean to you? because right now during this pandemic, there's some tough times. The Black Lives Matter movement, tough times. But that's what the real prize is. The real prize is where we are right now and how we're going to get out of this. When I won the Super Bowl, I was very fortunate enough to win that Super Bowl. And the emotion that came over me that next day, I was crying back on the way back to Denver, just crying for 30 minutes, couldn't stop crying. It wasn't because we had won the Super Bowl the day before. It was all the things that people said I couldn't do. Being undrafted, all the injuries that I had at Michigan State when I first got there. Who would have ever thought I would have got to that moment? But it wasn't about the times that I got knocked down. It was about the times that I got up. And that's what the prize is in the journey. The prize is in the journey. That's what it's all about. And that's why I mentioned it in my book. And during these tough times right now, that's what we all need to think about. We are here right now for a reason. Don't think about the problems that are going on right now. Think about what's coming, all the great things that are going to come. And, that's what Mike was all about. And he inspired us in so many ways. When we talk about legacy and we think about legacy, look at how this event has grown. I see 167 participants or 57 participants on this call. That's legacy right there. When we think about Coach D'Antonio's career at Michigan State, yeah, we think about the wins and the people that graduated, but think about all the lives that he impacted and the things that we're all doing outside of football. That's legacy. So, I want to thank Karen and Katie. I'm a little short on time, but I want to say thank you for having me speak. I love you guys. Coach D, thank you for the opportunity to go to Michigan State. Coach Tucker, I look forward to working with you and the players as they do identify and shift and understand that they are more than just an athlete, and we'll talk about that. And Darian, so I want to thank you guys. Connor, all my other Spartan dogs on the call, thank you. Spartan Nation, thank you for all that you guys have done for me.
To jump on and talk with us. Coach D is the reason, honestly, that we're all able to have this call. His ability to galvanize a group of people from across the country, bring everyone together for the success we had, truly is unprecedented. And this is my first opportunity to congratulate you on becoming a grandfather. So prayers to you and Kristen and your entire family. I know how busy you were as a coach, but being granddad may keep you as busy as ever. So I wanted to congratulate you on that. She's certainly gorgeous. And with that, I'll turn it over to Coach D.
Thanks so much, Darian. First of all, I want to just thank Benny for your words and how true it is when you talk about legacy and what you talked about. Also for Coach Tucker, Mel and I, have a history going back really to 1997. And as he said, we coached together at Ohio State as well. But, Mel, and this would be for him in talking about legacy, that when I first came back to Michigan State as the head football coach, I wanted to do exactly what you said. I wanted to make it more about wins, more about graduation. I wanted to impact people across this great state and this great country. And I think that our players have had the opportunity to do that. And I see so many of our players now, whether it's in business or whether it's out playing football or coaching or something, having an impact on people. Mike was in that same vein. 2016 started with the passing of Mike tragically in that July of 16. And just want to remind everybody that Mylan Hicks, also in the fall of 2016, we lost Mylan tragically. And I just like for everybody to remember him a little bit throughout this process as well, because he influenced so many players as well and was a dynamic young man. Going back to Mike Sadler, I just, I got all these little notes around me right now because talk about Mike, and it takes me back to just things he said, things how he became a part of my life as a person. I'll never forget, and I'll never forget every time I go to Chicago, and I have one daughter living in Chicago, I pass this McDonald's in Michigan City. And that's exactly where Mike Sadler committed to Michigan State, as I was in McDonald's getting something for my family or some coming back from Big Ten Media Days. And Mike committed to Michigan State. And I knew at that time, I told my wife, Becky, I said, special teams, our punting game is in great hands for the next 4 years. We won't have to worry about it. And he's an extremely unselfish young man, charitable, compassionate, funny, really off the cuff funny, really is what he is off the cuff funny, really. I don't think he tries to make up this stuff. I think it just comes to him. When you talk about a young man coming in academically, I think he brought 26 AP hours in, so he was a sophomore. When he came into Michigan State, he was actually a sophomore academically. He stayed for 5 years. Again, he redshirted his first year. Aaron Bates was our punter in 2010. Not many people do that. This guy with this unbelievable type of ability would sit and wait a year for his opportunity. All-decade team, as we've heard already. I counted up the wins, 42 wins in 4 years with Mike Sadler as our punter. A lot of that was because of him. The great punts, as you've seen, but a lot of fakes, a lot of different things went on with him as well. And never forget that it's not who drove up the fake or what it was all about. It's the player executing the fake. And I always felt like he was money, that he would not panic in any type of situation, that he was very, very confident in his abilities to do whatever it was, whether it was run a fake or punt the ball or hold. A lot of people forget he was the holder for our kicker. I mean, this is a guy who never held in his life and became that. So he was an unbelievable athlete, extremely charitable, selfless. When you look at him as an individual, extremely highly recruited. Again, the recruiting aspect was a long period of time as we went through this, and to make that statement and come without having the opportunity to be the punter the first year, which was told to him. When I look at the legacy, again, I go back to what are you trying to do with your legacy? Much like Benny has said, what I miss right now, probably what I miss more than anything as a coach, is being around players, the preparation, the day-to-day preparation. I don't miss the games all that much. The games, they're a little tense. But the preparation for those games, being around our players, being around the coaches, day to day, I think that's what you really, really miss, being around a guy like Mike Sadler. There's so many different stories. I don't know if I should tell the story, but since I'm drinking a beer, why not? But, Tim Allen tells me the story, who was our operations director, tells me the story about the Oregon game at Oregon, where he comes in at halftime and he's in the bathroom, going to the bathroom for a second, and he smells smoke. And there's Mike Sadler in there smoking a cigarette at halftime in the John, just taking a break from everything. And I think that was pure Mike Sadler, just off the cuff, just, whatever he needed to do to get himself right and ready, he was going to do. I want to congratulate all our former players out there, the guys who are watching this today. So many people are doing so many different things right now in this crisis of coronavirus, the Black Lives Matter crisis. All across the country, you see people in need, and you need to see people who care. And what I've tried to do as a college football coach was take our young people, bring them towards that feeling of care, watch them grow. I think growth is so amazing. Benny, I watched your video here just a couple of minutes ago, and I just was sitting there saying, wow, you look at a guy who's now has a foundation to stand on, and he can speak so eloquently to the masses. The growth that people have over the course of time is amazing. And I sort of feel like if you have a group of people doing something all together and they can build into each other, which Mike did, which Mel, I know that you're doing, great things can be accomplished. And I think that's what we've seen over the course of time, my 13 years. Won a lot of football games, lost some close ones, lost some other ones. But I think it's the people ultimately that matter. And Mike Sadler is one of those guys that you will never, ever, ever forget. It's amazing. I went by last couple of years. I think this is falling on Big Ten media days in Chicago, the Sunday going to the media days. And a couple times I stopped, and it was amazing how many people in Grand Rapids were at his event and participating and remembering Mike in such a vibrant way. Very few people like him in this world. And I could tell you that it affected our whole family when we lost Mike, my girls, my wife. He was one of those type of people that not just impacted the coach or the fellow players, but he impacted families. All of our coaching families, all the children of our families, they were impacted by Mike Sadler. He went out of his way to make life special. And I think that's what we're all called to do. I appreciate you guys having me on this. Again, I'll look forward to being around whenever I can with this virus stuff when that breaks, and remain a part of Michigan State. Go Green. Mel, wish you the very, very best, and very, very proud of our players and what you've accomplished after the fact. So with that, I'll turn it back to Darian. Thank you.
To introduce our next speaker with another book as well that Karen gifted me with that I actually didn't have yet, which I'm glad to have this one. I can't wait to read this one, Mr. March. And we all know who Mr. March is. The great thing about Coach Izzo and March is that my birthday is in March. So I always say I was born on Izzo 31st. So I'm always glad to be able to say that because of the impact that Coach Izzo has had in his tenure, and how we know that if we're entering March Madness, we got a shot. We got a shot. Coach Izzo was awarded the All Big Ten coach, All Big Ten decade first team coach, which was a no-brainer decision, of course. And again, was gracious enough to give us some time this afternoon. So with that, I'll turn it over to the great Coach Tom Izzo.
Well, Darian, thank you so much. Truth of it is, on that all-decade team, I was the only coach in the Big Ten that lasted the 10 years, so they had no choice. But I just want to say, after listening to Mel and, of course, Mark and Benny has been very important, and Darian, but I've been thumbing through this. I got on just a hair late, and I've been thumbing through the 7 or 8 pages of this Zoom. I'm in the UP. We just got computers a couple months ago, so I'm trying to figure out how to use all this stuff. I sure could have used Mike, but I figured out why he played football and not basketball. I got a rule. I'm never coaching a guy that's smarter than the head coach. And Mike would have kicked my ass, to be honest with you. So that was a good reason that he played football instead of basketball. But as all you know, there can't be a better basketball coach that loves football than me. I've never missed a game. I've missed 4 here in my 37 years. I've missed 4 home games, and they were only because we were playing in Hawaii or somewhere. And so I've seen all you guys play, and I've admired it. But Karen and Katie, this is chilling. This is mind-boggling. I've seen a lot of incredible things here. Through this job, I've sat there and won a national championship, and I've gotten a chance to watch guys live their dream when they get drafted in the green room and all those things. But I'm not sure anything has impacted me like this has. And I guess that's the number one thing about a legacy. It's not the years you do it, and it's not the time you spend. It's the impact you've made. And for some people, most people, it takes a lifetime to leave a legacy. Mike's done it in 20-some years. And that just kind of shows to me how special he is. Unfortunately, like Coach D or Benny or Darian, I'm more like Mel, where I didn't get a chance to be with him on a daily basis to hear all those funny stories. I've got some players that were close to him, but I didn't get to do that on a daily basis. But I'll tell you what I did get to do. I got to watch and I got to listen. And now, if you want to talk about legacy, I get to thumb through and see people. And it's so cool when you can impact young people, old people, white people, black people, football players, basketball players, men, women. I mean, he has impacted everybody. And boy, when you go through this, you just kind of think, my big goal in life is now to help others do what I got a chance to do. My childhood friend, Steve Mariucci, of course, coached the 49ers and the Lions. And we used to sit up there in our dorm in the UP, probably in June or July, because it was still so cold out, we couldn't go outside up there. But when we sat there, we talk about, getting to the mountaintop, doing something that we could impact other people. And I always said that I get a chance every day to live my dream. And my job as a coach, which I'm sure Mark and Mel and maybe you guys as players and some of you guys as parents or business people, your goal should be to help other people live their dream. Well, Mike didn't get a chance to impact people as he went later on in life, to think of going to Stanford and law school and all the things that he could have accomplished. But when you look through this group of people and you see how many he impacted in 20-some years, man, and Coach D, if he was 60-some like us or 40-some like you, Mel, or in your 20s and 30s like some of you, just think what he would have accomplished. And I think that's what's cool. When I watched that Big Ten thing, I even saw Nicole Auerbach, a Michigan girl, having to say great things about a Michigan State guy. That's maybe the best impact of all. I mean, who the hell gets somebody to do that this day and age? So, I can't speak on Mike from a standpoint of being able to sit in a meeting like Coach D did, or being able to sit in a locker room like Darian, Benny, and all you other guys, Connor, all you other guys that got to do that on a daily basis. I got to enjoy the good times. I got to enjoy the fake punts and the throws, and I got to be a cheerleader. I got to be a fan. And in a game of basketball or football, when you coach it, you never get to be a fan. So I want to thank the Sadlers for helping give me somebody that made me a fan, and a fan that brought a lot of joyful times to Michigan State. And I just want to salute all of you on this call, all of you on this Zoom, because this is something I've never seen. I think I've done a good job of bringing guys back, but to have the group of people as I thumb through this, it's incredible. And let's keep this legacy going as long as we're all alive, and we'll pass it on, to Darian's kids or Connor's kids or Benny's kids. If you guys ever have kids, that's your job. Coach D's granddaughter. We got a lot of people we can pass this on to. And anytime you have this, it'd be an honor and a privilege to be with such great people. And I too want to congratulate Mark on his granddaughter. When he called, it was great. I want to congratulate Mel, because now he's taken over a program that has had an incredible run in the last teens, and now we move into the 20s, and who knows how much longer I'll have. Coach D says a long time. I kind of want to go with him and Becky and have some dinners over on the lake, but maybe we'll get to that point. But to all of you, thank you for letting me be a part. Karen and Katie, God bless you. You know what? The years weren't enough, but the impact were like 100 years. Thank you.
Again, we pushed them to really take this thing and get as much speaking time as they deserve, but they really wanted to give everybody who Mike impacted an opportunity to speak, and then some. So again, with us shifting this to being the legacy celebration, they did want to get an opportunity to really touch on what that means, some of the cool things that we're doing as a foundation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Katie and Karen. They do have to see your face for at least 15 seconds, and then I'll share my screen and you can go to the presentation. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Darian. Well, we just wanted to say thank you first and foremost to everybody on the call so far. It means so much to have you here talking about Michael's legacy. And that's certainly what the foundation helps carry on, is that legacy that he built. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And as Darian brings up these slides, we wanted to give all of you a little bit more context around the foundation, what we've done, what we're currently working on, and how you can see us showing up in the future. What you've heard on today's call is that a lot of people have been talking about Michael's legacy and the mark that he left on them, but then also on the world around him. And I think in Michael's years, he had a really great understanding that while it's easy to focus on yourself and on what you're working on, it's much more important to focus on other people and the impact that you're making on the world. And if Michael were here today, he would be constantly trying to make the world a better place, whether by making a room of people laugh, or by making a difference in the field of law, or a plethora of things. So we're happy to be here celebrating his legacy with all of you. As we look at the foundation, we have a couple of things that we wanted to share with you today. The mission of the foundation is really to help people identify how they can make a difference in the world around them and how to build a legacy through strong character. And for us, it's all about empowering people to make an impact on others. The way that we bring that to life is by recognizing scholar athletes with strong character through both awards and scholarships. And then also we're helping kids start to build their legacy young. God forbid people pass away early, but Michael did such a great job of building his legacy in 24 years, and we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to do so. So we're working with kids in order to help them start building their legacies early on. And then there's really three ways that we show up as a foundation. The first is in awards and scholarships. We currently have 6 active awards and scholarships, and we're working on a 7th that we're hoping to endow this year. You can learn a little bit more about the awards and scholarships that we offer on michaelsadlerfoundation.org. And then also the Legacy Leadership Conference is probably a new one to a lot of you. The conference was supposed to kick off this year, but unfortunately with COVID and the world happening as it is, it's been delayed for a year. This conference is going to provide character building opportunities and tools to help students overcome adversity. So we're really excited to launch the Legacy Leadership Conference. It's going to provide speakers and workshops in order to really help kids make a difference and learn how they can be impactful in the world. And then lastly, Game Changers, and my mom is going to tell you a little bit more about the Game Changers program.
Hi, everyone. Game Changers has become an integral part of the Michael Sadler Foundation, and it's really part of what will sustain us into the future. When we were looking to figure out how to make a sustainable impact with Mike's story and how to really make an impact with his legacy, as we searched, we found the answer in the question, right, in the word legacy. Mike still inspires people throughout the country because of the legacy he created. And, you know, especially at an early age, he didn't know what he was doing, but he did the right thing. And he lived by 6 principles, if you will. And so we decided Game Changers. We decided Game Changers was a program that made sense to instill legacy throughout younger people in terms of education. And so what we did was we looked at Mike's legacy and what really made that legacy sustainable. And we looked at 6 things that were important to him. Education, getting a good education. He always said education is the one thing that can never be taken away from you. Setting goals. He always set goals. He always had a goal. And he would work hard and aim high and be humble in achieving that. But as Coach D said, you know, it's not enough to just have one goal in mind, because it's like climbing a mountain. And behind the first mountain, there's a mountain range, right? So you always have to be resetting goals and always have those on the horizon. Mike did. He lived with integrity. He didn't have any reason for doing it. He just did it because it was the right thing. So we teach, you know, younger kids that integrity means doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. Compassion, I think that, you know, you can hear Lisa Bidenton or any one of the people that knew Mike, any one of them on this call that knew Mike would say that more than being an awesome football player, he was a great person. He showed compassion to every person he met. He really made any person he talked to feel like the most important person in the room. And he worked at doing that. Mike was not really an outgoing person. He worked at that. But it was important to him because it made other people feel better. Choosing friends carefully. We all learned that the hard way, but Mike always presented that as something that he learned and made a huge impact in his life. So we tell kids, you know, that's really important when you're when you're choosing who to hang around with, because if you're hanging around with somebody else that has a bad reputation, you do automatically. So then the last pillar is humor. As you all know, and as Benny showed you, the wristband, the prize is in the journey. Mike always found the prize in each day of his journey. He did that through making himself a better person. He did that by making people laugh and by finding a reason for him to laugh himself. So we take these 6 pillars and we train high school students how to impart the message to younger kids. And we've had an amazing response to the program. In the last year, we've had 112 high school ambassadors who deliver the program to, in the last year, 2,200 kids in K-8. So overall, in the last year, we've impacted the lives of 2,300 people, 2,300 kids. And hopefully, with these kids, what we do is we teach them what a legacy is, why a legacy is important, and how to start building theirs. It's very, very impactful. And it's just as impactful for the high school kids delivering the program, because they get all sorts of deeper learning competencies. I won't get on the soapbox now, but I can tell you it's a super program that really does give back. So we have goals in the next year, of course. We want to launch the inaugural Legacy Leadership Conference, which was canceled because of COVID this year. That's all about overcoming adversity and finding the positive. We want to grow Game Changers into other school districts and add some online resources. And we want to complete endowments of our current scholarships. So we have a lot on the agenda, and I'm always being asked, how can we help? Here are just a few suggestions for you. We are always looking for donations. And if you can't donate financially, then just volunteering your time means just as much to us. We do have some swag on our website, michaelsadlerfoundation.org. Amazon Smile brings in a lot of money to us. In fact, we were able to buy all of the shirts for our Game Changer ambassadors this year through the proceeds that we earned from all of you buying on Amazon Smile. And as Darian told me today, you don't have to always go to Amazon Smile to buy, but you just go there once, sign up, and then anytime you get on regular Amazon or Amazon Prime, the benefits of those purchases come to us. So we really appreciate that. And of course, anytime that you see Hey Diddle Diddle in the stores and you can pick that up, that would be awesome. I'm kind of like ghosted here. It's kind of weird. But anyway, the Atwater Brewery is helping us with getting the message out with the Hey Diddle Diddle beer. For any of you that don't know, that was the play at Iowa when Michael ran the fake, and I think that was the season that led us to the Rose Bowl, wasn't it, Mark? Yeah, so anyway, those are just some ways that you can help us, but we are committed to being around for a long, long time and continuing the impact that Mike had. He had a lot left to do, so we're going to pick up the slack as best we can and represent him and really make a difference in this world going forward. So I appreciate you being on the journey with us, and I would like to just say, grab your glass, and I'm going to make a toast. My glass right here. So, to the man who, to the man that has an invisible mom, to the man who continues to inspire us to be better people every day in every way. Miss you, sweet. Love you, Mom. And then finally, never put a mom and a teacher on the soapbox, right? My last comment is, we are truly grateful to everyone that's made this call possible. In particular, Darian for taking over. Darian and Katie really put this together because I'd be clueless. But they made it happen. To Coach Izzo, Coach D, Coach Tucker, we are so grateful. Your time is super valuable, I know, and you have so little of it with your family. But to do this on a Sunday, it really means the world to us. Coach Izzo and Coach D, you were important in Mike's life. And Tom, I know that you said you only hung around football a little bit, but I can tell you, I have a picture of you and Mike. Mike was in 6th grade, and he came to one of your camps. And he was actually shorter than you at that time. And he was so proud of that picture. It's still hanging in his bedroom. So you did have an impact on his life. And I know that Coach Tucker, you would too if he was around now. He would really like the kind of people that you are, and I appreciate you being part of this. So everyone that joined, thank you. Those of you that made donations, thank you. We really do appreciate you keeping this legacy alive. And we look forward to seeing you next year, hopefully in person. Thanks again.